Jonah and the fish. The sun was rising over the distant hills of Israel when Jonah, the prophet of God, walked through the narrow streets, trying to quiet the uneasy stirring inside his heart. He had heard the Lord's voice clearly, clearer than he wished. "Arise, Jonah. Go to Nineveh, that great city, and proclaim against it, for their wickedness has come up before me." Jonah stopped walking when he remembered the words. Nineveh, a powerful, violent nation, enemies of his own people. The very thought of preaching to them filled him with fear and anger. Why should they be spared? Why should he risk his life for them? Determined to flee from the assignment, Jonah headed to the port of Joppa, where the smell of salt and sea mixed with the shouts of busy sailors. Without looking back, Jonah paid for passage on a ship headed as far away as possibly Tarshish. He boarded quickly, hoping to hide from the presence of God. Tornado the storm. Out at sea, the winds began to rise. A gentle sway became a violent toss. Waves slammed against the wooden ship, lightning tore across the sky, and the sailors cried out in terror. "Save us! Call on your gods," they shouted to one another. But Jonah was asleep below deck, weighed down by guilt and exhaustion. The captain shook him violently. "Wake up! Pray to your God, perhaps he will spare us." When the sailors cast lots to discover who had brought this disaster upon them, the lot fell on Jonah. His heart sank. "It is my fault," Jonah confessed, the wind tearing at his robe. "I serve the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land. I fled from his command. Throw me into the sea, and the storm will stop." The sailors hesitated, but the raging storm left them no choice. They lifted Jonah and cast him into the depths. At once, the sea calmed. Wailed a great fish. As Jonah sank beneath the waves, darkness surrounded him. Seaweed wrapped around his head, and the cold pressed against his skin. He thought it was the end until a massive shadow loomed beneath him. With a single, thunderous surge, a great fish, appointed by God, swallowed Jonah whole. Inside the belly of the creature, Jonah found himself alive but surrounded by darkness, a living tomb. The air was heavy. The walls pulsed like the heartbeat of the deep. In the belly of the fish, Jonah finally prayed. "Out of my distress I cried to the Lord, and he heard me." Salvation belongs to the Lord. For 3 days and 3 nights, Jonah prayed, repented, and surrendered his will to God. Then, at God's command, the great fish rose to the surface and vomited Jonah onto dry land. Cityscape, Nineveh repents. Covered in sea salt and still trembling from the ordeal, Jonah obeyed the voice of God. He journeyed to Nineveh, a massive city filled with towering walls and bustling markets. He lifted his voice and proclaimed, 40 days more, and Nineveh will be overthrown." To Jonah's astonishment, the people believed the message. From the poorest beggar to the mightiest noble, everyone repented. Even the king arose from his throne, traded his royal robes for sackcloth, and declared a fast throughout the land. "Perhaps God will have mercy," the king said. "Perhaps he will spare us." And God saw their repentance, and he turned away his wrath. Pensive-faced Jonah's lesson. But Jonah was displeased. He sat outside the city, angry and confused. God caused a leafy plant to grow above him, shading him from the scorching sun. Jonah was comforted until God sent a worm to wither the plant the next morning. Hot wind burned Jonah's face, and he grew faint. Then God spoke gently. "You care for the plant, though you did not make it grow. Should I not care for Nineveh, 120,000 souls who do not know their right hand from their left?" Jonah sat in silence, the lesson settling deep into his heart. God's mercy is greater than Jonah's anger, greater than nations, and greater than sin. And from that day, Jonah understood that the love of God reaches farther than the sea, deeper than the deepest fish, and wider than the biggest city.